Cherish, first of all, tell me about yourself and how you got into the field of like nutrition and health in general.
Yeah, so I am a nutritionist. I do one-on-one coaching with people who work out, don't work out. Kind of how I got into nutrition. I mean, I, like most people, did a bunch of different diets all throughout my life. But not until I kind of really started getting into fitness did I start learning more specifics. Okay, well, what's like the best thing I can do? What are the best options? And so then I kind of got into macro tracking, and then from there kind of found my speed.
So it's so funny, right? Because people, like especially New Year's Day, a lot of people, this is when they want to get going on a plan, some sort of plan. And the idea of like, oh, you know, getting my diet in check, that's so incredibly vague based on people's goals, right? Like it's one thing to want to lose weight, another thing to make sure it's fat and not muscle. Another thing to, well, you could just eat nothing but Quest bars, but like, you know, how are you going to feel?
Yeah, right.
So when somebody comes to you and they just say, hey, I just want to get, you know, back in shape for 2025, what is the first thing you do?
It does depend person to person, like you're saying, but I would say pretty much for almost everyone, it's focus on protein, try to get more protein. It's probably one of the most like neglected resources, I think, in our nutrition, just because it makes you feel fuller, which if you're trying to lose weight, like generally that's going to help you overall not overeat as much. If you're trying to put on muscle, it's going to help that as well. You really need that if you're trying to put on muscle, which generally getting back into shape, you know, you want to feel better. And so being a little bit more healthy is going to help with that. But generally, yeah, I would say focus on protein just to start for sure.
A lot of people who give up on their weight loss goals have told me that, well, I just got tired of feeling hungry all the time. Do you have to be hungry to feel hungry in order to lose weight?
I don't think so. I do think that it might come out of a cost of maybe your food doesn't taste like amazing every single bite, but to lose weight, you just need to be in that calorie deficit, meaning what you probably want to do to feel full is try to eat more foods that have more volume. So that's typically going to be vegetables, which I think is why that's pushed so hard in the nutrition industry is eat vegetables, eat vegetables. But the benefit of it is that you are going to feel fuller than if you just have a slice of bread. Like the volume of a plate of vegetables versus the volume of like a slice of bread is going to be different. You're going to feel more full with the vegetables. You probably won't even want to finish the vegetables. And so that's kind of how you can find that balance of maybe if you don't want to feel full, if you don't want to feel hungry and you really that's important to you, then focus on the vegetables or something like that, more volume versus high calorie.
Okay, so each person, yeah, they're going to have their own goals, whether it's maybe they want to get more in shape or they just want to lose weight or they want to build muscle. But once you have a plan, I think that a lot of times people, they want to see immediate results. So they want like a plan that's going to, you know, really make those changes very quickly. Is there a disadvantage to that sort of thing?
Totally, definitely. I mean, if you can stick to it, you will see results quickly, but you'll also find plateau quickly. But I always recommend people obviously go a little bit slower because you will see results over a longer period of time. It's just might not be immediate. And one, you're going to enjoy it. So it's actually going to be something sustainable, something you might do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, kind of going back and forth between you're committed for a week and then you're not. It's way more beneficial to maybe add like one habit or one good thing a week and that stay for life than flip-flopping half of the time.
That's probably some good advice to people who they set a New Year's resolution because we hear it all the time, right? People love to make New Year's resolutions and more often than not, they give up after maybe just a matter of weeks, if not within like 2 months. I think some statistic was like 80% fail within 2 months. Do you think that could be kind of linked to maybe setting too dramatic of a goal too quickly?
Absolutely. I think trying to find a goal that's almost easy. Like you should be able to say, one thing I learned in one of my nutrition courses was you should be able to say on a scale of 1 to 10, you can do it. It should be a 9 or a 10. It should be that clear of, oh yeah, that's easy. I could do that. And just slowly chip away towards maybe that bigger goal that you have over time.
Okay. So there are so many cool tools out there in terms of like types of processed foods. I say tools, right? I mentioned Quest bars. But, you know, in terms of like trying to get more protein, but I don't want to grill 6 chicken breasts a day, right? Do you recommend that people try to like balance processed and whole foods, or is it really just a macro is a macro?
I would say when it comes to, you know, calories being in deficit, a macro is a macro for sure. How you're going to feel, that's what's going to depend on, you know, if you're eating the whole foods. Definitely, I think a balanced. I think when it comes to those more processed, like a Quest bar or a protein shake, 1 a day is probably like a good general rule of thumb, just if you want to feel good. But still getting in, let's say like your protein, getting it in is going to be better than not. So if that's what it takes to slowly work towards those goals, I think that's a great option, a great path to kind of take to ease you into maybe later moving more towards whole foods.
Do people need to exercise to lose weight? Is that something, if someone is overweight and they come to you, like, do you recommend they have to get onto an exercise program too?
I don't think so. I think if you want to lose weight, it definitely is, it's going to be those calories. Obviously, the working out is going to help you stay more motivated and make you feel better. And I'm never going to tell someone they shouldn't work out, but that's because I'm biased. But yeah, I think as long as you're following your plan and your plan knows that you're not working out, it can work.
Okay. So in terms of, let's see. Okay, we talked about, let's talk about types of foods, right? So some people, I think they worry like, well, I want to lose weight, but I just don't like the taste of vegetables, or I don't like whatever, fruits even, or grains. Do you have any advice? Like, do you have any favorite foods that to you are like really healthy, but also just really delicious? Any tricks?
Oh yeah. So one thing that I do to find that balance, because I like my food to taste good, my food has to taste good, is to find like a really good sauce that you like and put that and maybe ease it in, like do a little bit of vegetables or something, like a few bites that you can tolerate. Foods that I love, I mean, I think potatoes are awesome. I love potatoes. I tell people to eat potatoes all the time because one, they're so good. You can cook them a million different ways and you can basically make fries. Get an air fryer. If you don't have an air fryer, get an air fryer. But potatoes for sure is something where it's like it's full of vitamins. It's a whole food, but you can almost trick it into not feeling like a whole food.
Yeah.
But that for sure, I would say would be my advice. Grab some sauce that you love and then potatoes.
There's so many cool options out there for sauces too. I'll make my own sauces out of like oils and almonds, and because I don't do much dairy at all. And so like you can make these creamy, delicious sauces. Just get a little blender. There's so many cool tools out there.
Totally, yeah.
In terms of working with clients who maybe they have dietary preferences, maybe somebody's vegan or has gluten issues, are there easy workarounds?
I think so. I think as long as you're clear, but like you said, there's so many products now that I think it's pretty easy to get around, especially dairy. Like I don't have dairy either. And so while there is a lot of really yummy options for people who do, I have no problem reaching all of the macros or goals that I want to with having that dietary restriction.
Okay, so for somebody who's setting this goal, right, and maybe they've met with you and they have this plan, and it's a plan that's sustainable, right? It allows for some foods they really like, it's not too strict, but some days, you know, someone just brings the donuts into work or brings the pizza into work, and they have that moment where they're like, oh, I have no willpower, I just can't resist, and they know that later they'll regret it, right? They knew at the beginning of the day they had a plan, and they just feel like hopeless or like they want to give up. How do you advise they kind of cope with those feelings?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has those moments for sure, and I think it's, you know, there's looking at the grand picture, which we all love to do and is fun, but trying to not take it as seriously. Know that the next day, as long as you know, it's all about choices and like an overall, how many good choices did you make toward your goal? One step back is not going to prevent you from, you know, the miles that you've already walked. But I think we really beat ourselves up for moments of, you know, lack of willpower with like a donut, but just let that day be that day and keep moving forward and keep trying to make the choices, as good a choices when you can.
Okay, so if you set your New Year's resolution to, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, and somebody brought in donuts and, you know, 2 weeks into your goal, you ate the donut, it doesn't mean that the resolution is over. It doesn't mean that you lost. You can just, You don't have to wait till 2026 to try again.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a donut is realistically not that many calories.
Yeah.
So overall, as long as you keep chipping away,
Yeah,
you'll
long
totally get there.
term.
Long term,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, any other things that you want people to know where they're just kind of like, maybe they set this goal and they have they're dedicating this year to getting back into shape, but they really don't know where to start. What are some easy steps people can take?
I would say try to, one, prepare. Just make sure that you're prepared. A lot of people that I see this time of year is they set the new goals, but they don't know how to enforce it kind of regularly. So one big thing is like shopping. Like make sure that if you have, okay, I want to eat this every day, make sure you have enough to get you through to the next time you shop. Just make sure that you're able to execute the plan. Try to take willpower out of it as much as you can. Try to create some good habits. What do you actually physically need to do to complete that goal?
I love that. I think about that too because I'm a pretty regimented person, but I don't have a lot of willpower. I just have a routine.
Absolutely.
And then I don't have a battle in my head because it's like, oh, I get up in the morning after I have coffee, I put the shoes on and I go out with my dogs. And it's just what I do. It's not like a decision.
Right.
So if you take that decision by planning,
I remember someone told me one time that you have, let's say, X amount of decisions that you can make in a day. And I think that's totally true. And by the end of the day, you've made so many decisions that it's like, you can't choose between the chocolate and the potato, right? It's like you don't have that willpower. So you only have so much. So I loved that because it's like you're saying, if you create that routine, you minimize those decisions. And I think it optimizes whether or not you'll follow through with your goals for sure.
Okay, so is there anything, I've asked you a lot of questions, anything else that you think is really important people keep in mind when it comes to keeping goals that they set for themselves with diet and fitness?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing when I work with clients, I focus on this too, is just make sure that you enjoy what you're doing. Make sure that you actually like what you're eating, you like what you're doing, you like when you're eating, all those things. Being bought in yourself, I think, is so important to that. And if it doesn't align with your goals in any way, or even just your priorities too, get your priorities straight. If you can align those, I think that's the biggest thing on whether or not you'll stick with it.
Yeah, make it work for you.
Make it work for you. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily listen to just what someone else is saying. Ask yourself, what do I actually want to do?
Right. Okay.
Totally.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.